Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about a subject that's a little heavier, a little bit darker, but I feel like... So I didn't really think about doing this video until I was having a conversation with my cousin about the show 13 Reasons Why, and I had watched the show a couple months ago for the first time. I was really late to the party on this one, and I watched season 1 and 2 because the second season had just come out on Netflix. And I watched them both just like really quickly in like a couple weeks, and so I had the full picture really fast. And I didn't really get a chance to like think about it. I mean, I thought about it obviously, but I didn't really like analyze it or like dive into it too much until I was talking to one of my cousins, and she and I, we always have these really like deep analytical conversations about shows or books or whatever we're currently immersed in. And I started telling her about this show, 13 Reasons Why. I'm sure most of you have seen it, but if you haven't, I'm going to preface all this with a spoiler alert. There's going to be a lot of spoilers. But anyway, I was talking to my cousin, and I was really realizing that I had a lot of problems with the show. Like, initially, I was like, okay, I see what it's trying to do. I can appreciate what it's trying to do. And I kind of got angry about it, but I didn't get like crazy angry about it until after I was talking with my cousin, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of problems with this show, and I really want to talk about it. So, hence this video. I'll look at the beginning of this video and say, Hannah Baker and her, again, spoiler alert, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. Hannah Baker and her story, yes, it's very tragic what happened, especially the scene at the end of season 1 with the rape in the hot tub. Yes, it's very traumatic. That's horrible. I would never ever wish that on anyone. And of course her suicide afterwards is traumatic and horrible. And again, never ever should anyone feel the need to take their own life. But I was saying this to my cousin because we watched it together and she's in high school, so I felt like we should have some discussion. And as we were talking, we both kind of agreed that we didn't think suicide was I mean, obviously suicide is never the answer, but as someone who has been suicidal, I could say that I didn't see Hannah's perspective as much as the show wanted me to see it. Hannah is a very outspoken, sarcastic, witty girl, okay? I say girl like it's like a girl. She's a strong human being. Like, obviously she's very strong. She's been able to put up with all this for so long. Most of the stuff that she deals with, I feel like, is so ungodly unrealistic. Everything in her high school, I'm sorry, what high school is she going to that all this crap's happening? And in what universe is what she did on the tapes okay? Like, how is she, like, I honestly agreed with some of the other characters when they were like, hey, Hannah's not the good person here. Like, Hannah actually is kind of horrible. My cousin and I, when we first started watching it, my cousin turned to me, I think after episode 2 or 3, and she goes, is it bad that I find Hannah really annoying? And I was like, okay, if you find someone annoying or not, that's totally up, like, personal preference, whatever, like, you like that person or not. But I could understand that this person wasn't someone that you wanted to sympathize with. And the show, it wasn't trying to portray, like, Hollywood was not trying to portray Hannah as like a bad character. They're trying to portray her as a relatable character. She's just like any other teenage girl. She has friends, she's got a life, whatever. And then everything went to hell because that's how things happen in this world. Obviously in real life, there's always going to be stressors, there's going to be craziness. But what I didn't like is and what I find actually a big problem is they made Hannah's, like, everything leading up to Hannah's suicide, I feel like was really kind of small things, and things that could have been handled with really quickly, which made me not sympathize with Hannah as much. And a lot of her problems were self-made. Like, she was self-destructing, like, and not in like a way that she couldn't control. Like, she could control everything, most everything, in the first initial like episodes and whatnot. Like with the whole situation with the picture that went around the school of whatever, not Bryce. Well, technically Bryce sent it out, but what was the other guy's name? The guy she had a crush on. Oh, y'all know who I'm talking about, the guy at the beginning. This kid took a picture of her as she was going down a slide on their first date, and some of her underwear was shown. Like, okay, the that could be a scandalous picture, but in today's day and era, like, I'm sorry, that's like nothing. Like, nothing. Obviously, you might not want that picture going around, but the fact that every person in the school turned against her, that's bull. Like, that's bull. And the fact that Hannah, this girl who's willing to stand up and say whatever the heck she wants because she is a smart, sassy child, she doesn't say anything and doesn't even try to say, hey, that's taken way out of context and we didn't have sex and we didn't do anything that you guys are saying that I did, because everyone's saying, oh, she's really easy and whatever. Which again, like, in what universe? And so, at all the situations leading up, so like that part she could have taken care of. Like, obviously the picture being sent out, that's out of her control. But how she handles it is in her control. She could have said something. Also, the teachers are so oblivious in this. Like, so oblivious. Some of the other situations are like, she had this little note basket and people were like putting little compliments in, and that was like her happiest day, or like, not her happiest day, but like the brightest part of her day, or whatever she was saying. And this one kid kept taking them out because he was mad at her because reasons. And she was like, why me? Why would you do that to me? Okay, first of all, honey, like, this is like kind of a very small thing. Now, I understand that, like, if that's the brightest part of your day and someone's taking that away from you and someone knows that's the brightest part of your day and they're still intentionally doing it, like, okay, that's very mean. That's not nice at all. But she confronts him one time in the hallway and just goes like, why me? Why are you doing this to me? This is not Hannah. Like, the way that they've portrayed her up till this point, this is not Hannah. She would not have just been like, why me? That's a huge problem, is her character keeps switching. One second she's sassy and she's able to stand up for herself. The next she's like a shy, simpering little child. Like, that makes no sense. Because most of it she's like, I can say whatever I want. You should do this, you should do that. You should come out to your parents. You should say this, you should say that. You should be great. She's giving everyone all this advice about how to be more of a strong, independent person, and then she takes none of it herself. And while some of it might be like relatable, she does do all this stuff, and she's not afraid to speak her mind, as she shows again and again. So why, in the moments that are like leading to her suicide, like the part of the 13 reasons why doesn't she ever try to stop or fix something? And even when she's like, I gave my last effort, and like the final episode when she goes to the guidance counselor, she's like, I gave my last ditch effort, and he didn't come after me. He tried, he might have been able to try harder, but here's the thing, there's only so much he can do, and only if you tell him, like, next to nothing, there's only so much he can do. Like, that's my biggest problem. Well, not my biggest, but one of my biggest problems is that she blames everyone but herself for all of her problems, and most of them are her own problems, which makes her very unsympathetic. Like, I have a hard time feeling sorry for her, because I don't know if it's the writers, I don't know if she was like this in the book, I don't know anything about that. I don't know if they wrote her inconsistently on purpose to be like, oh, I don't know if they're trying to go for like a bipolar thing with this or what was going on, but like, they failed drastically if that was what they were trying to do. But it was so out of character for her for suicide to be her option. It was also very weird how the whole rape situation came to be, which is another thing for me. I was like, that's so unrealistic. Like, so unrealistic. So we find out in season 2, so season 1, maybe if you just watched that one by itself, like you were technically supposed to, and didn't wait till season 2 came out to binge it like I did, you probably would have been like, okay, the rape, she had no way of knowing that going to Bryce's house was a bad idea. However, in season 2, you find out that he had made approaches on her in the past, like a lot in the past. And here's the thing, I'm not trying to victim blame at all. Like, I have been hit on by like way too many creepy people to ever try to blame the victim. However, I'm also not the person who would go to a party without telling A, anybody that I know that cares about me, that I'm going to this party. B, I would never go to this party if the party is being thrown by a guy who has made unwanted advances on me consistently. also in season 1, she found out that he raped her best friend. Like, does none of this kind of be like bad idea? You know, just kind of scream like sirens, like red lights, like red flags, like stay away. I don't get that. That's what I'm like, okay, she's obviously a smart, intelligent human being, but this is a really dumb decision. And I understand people who are depressed make dumb decisions, but this is so many next level stupid that she would go to this person's party. Not only go to this person's party, but she would stay in the freaking hot tub after everyone else has left. Like, this is where, like, that would be awkward, to me. To just go to someone's house and be like, hey, a weird party is going on, I'm just gonna invite myself in, and then I'm just gonna hang out with these people, then I'm just gonna be sitting awkwardly in the hot tub and being like, woohoo. Like, that's, like, maybe I'm too introverted and she's extroverted, I don't even know what the heck, but like, I would feel like that's so freaking awkward. So he rapes her in the hot tub, which again, I'm like, that, like, why were you there in the first place? Like, and I'm not trying to victim blame, like, a lot of times people are caught in really bad situations, but she had, you know, everything in her brain to say, don't do this. But again, after this happened, clearly what happened, it wasn't her fault, but I feel like it's out of character for her to go to this party. So, again, unrealistic. So that's why it's hard for me to sympathize with this character, because a lot of things that she does are very unrealistic. And let's talk about the high school for just about a hot second, because this high school is actual trash. Like, actual trash. I don't understand. Like, I was talking to my cousin about this, and I never went to like an actual high school. I homeschooled because I lived out in the middle of nowhere, and it would have been like way too long of a drive to go to an actual school. So my mom decided to just homeschool us all. Don't worry, I actually had social interaction, I'm okay. But I was talking to my cousin who's currently in high school. I was talking to some of my other friends who went to public schools and private schools and whatever. So like a wide variety of like schools and whatnot. And I brought up some of the situations from 13 Reasons Why, and I was like, would this have ever happened? And if it did, how would this be handled? And most of the responses were, this would never even happen at a high school. Like, what are you talking about? Like, obviously drug use, sex, like rape, whatever, that happens. That happens. But let's talk about season 2 for a minute. Like, let's just talk about season 2 for a second. The scene at the end of season 2 with Tyler, I think the guy who takes all the photographs, I'm pretty sure his name is Tyler, that almost made me vomit. And I study serial killers, like, for a like, let's talk about this for a minute. That was so disgusting and horrific and unnecessary and uncalled for. Honestly, I would have loved a spin-off show about Tyler. First of all, let's talk about Tyler for a minute. Clay is like being like, oh my gosh, we need to raise awareness about suicide, and we need to make sure that people know not to kill themselves and that there's an option. And the school's like, oh my gosh, we need to do this too. And there's everyone's like talking about suicide and prevention and whatever and awareness, and that's great. However, they're all being like, oh my gosh, Hannah was bullied, that's horrible. And they're sitting there bullying the heck out of this other kid who's like innocent of doing nothing other than taking a photograph of 2 girls kissing from outside of the house. Like, yes, that's creepy. That's really creepy. That's very uncalled for, and that's just like kind of next level weird. But realistically, compared to like everyone else's crap, well, maybe with the exception of the guy who took the notes out of the bucket, like, I'm sorry, how is I can't think of any of their names, there's too many characters. How is the girl who is lesbian, like how is what she did any like better than Tyler? Like, how is what Bryce did, like the rapist, how is what he did any better than Tyler? How is like all the betrayals of her close friends? Like, Tyler was never like her friend, so how would like all of her best friends like betrayals and stuff like that of her, how is that better than him like taking a picture of her? And like, honestly, with that picture, no one even knew it was them. They were all like, oh, who do you think it is? Oh my gosh, oh. And it's like, okay, look, first of all, you're all stupid for not knowing who it is, A, because it's not that hard to figure it out, and B, it's like, how was what Tyler did any worse than what anyone else did, and why are they all crucifying him? And then Clay's retaliation, like, Hannah is actually a horrible character, because instead of being like, hey, don't bully, she puts a target on this kid's back, which makes everybody bully him. I'm surprised he didn't kill himself, because they're throwing rocks outside his window. His parents were very concerned. He's actually kind of talking to his parents a little bit at the beginning. His parents know that people are throwing rocks in his windows and whatnot. And then freaking Clay takes a picture of him naked and sends it around the school, which is way more embarrassing and horrible and harassment and whatever and bullying than what happened to Hannah with the first picture of her going down the slide. This makes me so angry, actually, because they make it sound like the only person's suicide who is justified, which, first of all, suicide is never really justified. But Hannah's suicide is justified, but what Tyler did isn't. And so Tyler planning the school shooting, I don't condone that by any means. By any means, obviously, I've never ever want someone to shoot up a school, but I understand why he would, because everybody is a horrible human being there, and they're so two-faced and just lying to him all the time. And even the people that he thought were his friends turned out to not be his friends, and they turned out to be just as horrible. And this makes me so angry. So, just a quick recap of what happened to him. He took a picture of two girls. That's really all he did. And did he even send it around the school? I don't even remember if he sent it around. Somehow it got around the school though. And I'm pretty sure he didn't even send it though, but I could totally be wrong. Anyway, this picture goes around the school, and everyone is giggling about it and hee hee hee, that's so funny. But first of all, no one knows it's Hannah, so how is it even getting back to her? How does this really affect her? Obviously it's kind of embarrassing. But she wasn't even embarrassed by it. It was the other girl who was embarrassed. So why isn't this 13 reasons about the other girl who whatever, why she didn't come out, whatever. But anyway, so the person who was mostly affected was this other girl, not even Hannah. So anyway, I digress. So Tyler, that's his crime. That's his crime. Yeah, it's creepy, yeah, it's kind of gross, but that's his crime. So then after that, no one will talk to him, no one will hang out with him, people are throwing rocks in his window at all hours of the night. Then Clay takes a naked photo of him, sends that around the school. People are actively bullying him. He gets attacked multiple times in season 2, beaten up and whatever. I think someone attacks him in his dark room too when he's developing photos. Someone trashes it, I know, at some point. So all this horrible stuff is happening to him. He befriends this one emo kid, Cyrus, I'm pretty sure his name is. They kind of befriend each other, and that's the season 2 story arc for Tyler. Is he's friends with this emo group, and this is the first time he's kind of felt included, but it's not really a healthy relationship because Cyrus is a very dark soul, and Tyler is just someone who wants to feed off of that, and that's not very good for him mentally at all. So yeah, and so then they start shooting together because that's just what kids do on the weekends. And they start taking this gun out and they start shooting in the backyard. And it gets to the point where Tyler takes Clay out to the backyard when they're shooting. And so Clay knows Tyler has a gun. He knows this kid is kind of unstable. He knows all this horrible stuff is happening. And then so Tyler's the only one who's willing to own what he did to Hannah. He's the only one who's hey, we actually really goofed up. We all screwed her over. Maybe we should all testify honestly. So he does. He honestly testifies, which ruins this one kid's chance to get in this some school because of his football. I don't even know. Anyway, so this one kid, this jock, who's ticked off because he can't get into school now because I didn't even understand the core of the whatever with that. So basically, he testified that Tyler testified that this jock was a rapist, and now this kid, that this jock wasn't the rapist, but he assisted the rapist or whatever. And so this kid now the football season was canceled at the school, so now he can't get into a good college, even though I think he's even a junior, so there's still another season, whatever. But anyway, it's really dramatic for him. His old mans are gonna beat the crap out of him. Okay, yes, that's horrible, and obviously he's being abused, and this is not a very good situation, but it does not justify what he did to Tyler, which was then to freaking shove. So gross. It's actually disgusting. So they attack Tyler in the boys' bathroom. First of all, is there not a single teacher in the hallway? Is there not a single hall monitor? Is there not a single kid who's like, I really gotta go pee, and like just walks into the bathroom at this present time? Because like, why would you do this at the school? Like, this is just mind-blowing to me. This is like the primary thing that when I talk to my friends and talk to my cousins and whatnot, they were like, this never would have happened. Like, I mean, maybe like there's an odd case, but this would never have been something that happened and they gotten away with. So they take the mop and like the handle of it and they shove it up his you know what. So that's obviously horrible. He's bleeding hours afterwards, days afterwards. I'm pretty sure he like is in the bathroom and is like blood. Boy, get this checked out because you need to actually go to the hospital. And that's when it's kind of the snapping point for him. And he goes and gets a big gun and goes to the school to shoot it up. And Clay is able to talk him down. First of all, if I was Tyler, and again, I'm not condoning school shootings at all, Clay would have honestly been the first person that I would have shot. Because everything happened because Clay took that initial photo. Again, I'm not condoning anything at all, but in terms of character development and character personalities and what's going on with that character, it makes no sense that Clay is the one person to talk Tyler down. Maybe I'm wrong about this, please let me know in the comments below, but it makes no sense. And what happened to Tyler is 10,000 times worse than what happened to Hannah. Not to say that what happened to Hannah was okay or she should have just gotten over it. Like, obviously no. But this whole, like, the hypocrisy of the school drives me insane. And maybe that was kind of the point of it, where it's like, oh yeah, like, I don't even know. Like, oh yeah, these people say that they really care about suicide, but in reality they don't. And this is just the way all school systems are. And we're trying to bring awareness to like this huge problem. Like, I'm sorry, but if you walk into a guidance counselor's office and say, hey, I'm suicidal, there's like a huge procedure list that you have to go through. My cousin, okay, this is actually kind of a funny story. So she's a heavy overthinker. So everything she does, she overthinks like a bajillion times. And actually after the show came out, her high school had all the kids fill out these like emotional awareness forms, and the teachers and the guidance counselors would like look at them, and my cousin like overthought everything, and a lot of the questions were like, have you been getting a normal amount of sleep? Or have you been eating on a regular basis? And my cousin, she's been getting a normal amount of sleep for her, but because she was overthinking it, she was like, is that a normal amount of sleep for everyone else? Or whatever, or have I been eating on a regular basis like everyone else? Or have I been eating on my regular basis? Like, what does this mean? Like, she overthought everything. So her answers were really wonky. And so it ended up being like, she's crazy suicidal. The guidance counselor saw this, and teachers were informed, the principal was informed, her mom was informed, her dad was informed, like everyone was like called immediately, emailed, like everything was like done like this huge procedure, and like people were called in, they had to have like a big discussion, like there was like this big kind of show, and it's like, okay, this is something that's like just a form. Can you imagine if a kid walked in and said, hey, I'm thinking of killing myself, like Hannah did to her guidance counselor? Like, there's like, she would not have been allowed to leave. She would have been probably brought into a psychiatric evaluation and been like, okay, you have to sit down and go through all this stuff. Especially if she's saying that she was sexually assaulted. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's just, like, so that's what I'm saying. This show is so unrealistic that if they're trying to say this is what suicide and depression is actually like, they're doing a really bad job of representing it, because here's the thing. If you give all these crazy extremes, which yes, they do happen, but not in this crazy, unrealistic way, people are going to see that and be like, oh, well, my kid can't possibly be depressed or suicidal because she wasn't raped, or he wasn't, you know, anal probed by a giant mop. Like, like, so people are going to see that, or a lot of parents, because as we all know, a lot of parents already said there's nothing wrong with my kids, they're just a little sad, when a lot of kids are saying, hey, I'm suicidal. But so people are going to see this, and people are going to say, my kid can't possibly be depressed or suicidal because they haven't been through this horrible trauma. You don't have to have this horrible trauma in order to be depressed and or suicidal. If you wanted to have like an accurate representation of depression, and suicide and anxiety and mental illness and that kind of stuff, portray it in a realistic light. Don't put this crazy, out of this world story with unrelatable characters and bland setup and just kind of obnoxiously stupid and oh, I can't even form words at this point. I'm so angry. Don't put it in such an unrealistic setting that people can't relate it back to real life. Because that's the point of stories in fiction, is to make it relatable to real life, even if it's something like, oh, we all have wings, or oh, there's magic, or whatever. You can still somehow relate it back to real life and be like, hey, I can handle it this way, or I can handle something this way, and this is how I learned from the story, and this is how I grow from the story. And that's what good fiction is supposed to do, especially fiction that's trying to raise awareness about something in a fictional manner. You have to make it realistic enough that people are going to be like, hey, this is relatable. Hey, I'm seeing the signs in this person. Because guess what? No one could have seen the signs in Hannah. She was literally talking to no one about this. And which honestly, I understand. You can hide suicidal tendencies, you can hide depression, you can hide anxiety really, really well. Especially if you really want to. But Hannah is a very open person, and she seems to be very open with her parents too, for the most part. So why wouldn't she ever say, hey, mom, dad, I'm being bullied at this school too, this type of stuff is happening, this type of stuff is happening, because her parents have proven themselves to actually care about her a lot, and her parents have proven themselves to not take this kind of stuff lightly. So in conclusion, Hannah felt vindictive and vengeful and everything like that, and she didn't feel much like a victim in this whole situation. She felt more like the perpetrator of a lot of other problems, because honestly, a lot of the issues in the show that were taking place in real time and not in the tape time, a lot of the issues that were taking place in real time were issues that she caused. So she was then the result of crazy bullying, tons of harassment, depression, anxiety, so much crap. She started so much crap at the school for other kids and made it so much harder for these other kids to just kind of get through school. Now, obviously, she should have been able to bring up her own personal rape, but dragging her friend Jess, she brought up someone else's rape that everyone was obviously able to figure out in a heartbeat, so it wasn't even she was being that subtle about it. So it's okay, first of all, y'all are sitting there being like, yeah, I was raped and my friend was raped, no, by the way, this person's gay, and then this thing happened, and bringing up everyone's dirt, everyone's darkest secrets, and everyone else's crap because you figured it out and you feel like you're a victim because you were raped. And it's yes, you are a victim in that sense, but you still don't have the right to take advantage of someone else's personal secrets and expose them like that. Jess will come to terms with what happened and figure it out on her own, because honestly, what she did when she testified, it wasn't even because of the tapes. A lot of stuff that happened, with the other girl who is lesbian, she will come out when she's ready. Don't force someone to do that. Just so much stuff. Hannah was actually a kind of a horrible person. That's kind of the long and short of it. Hannah was actually a horrible person, and I know this video was kind of disjointed and all over the place, but honestly, the long and short of it is, in a quick conclusion, because it's already way too long, Hannah was a horrible person. She didn't really have a concrete reason to commit suicide. I mean, she had a reason to commit suicide, but she had a lot of other reasons to not commit suicide, and also it was very out of character for her to select suicide as her method of dealing with all of her problems. Tyler was completely wronged. He was the one who kind of needed a whole show about him. That would have been realistic, I feel in some respects, but the whole high school experience was, first of all, it was more like a prison in, upstate New York. I mean, this high school was trash. I would have left a long time ago if I was going to this high school, but, yeah. Anyway, in conclusion, this show is very, very unrealistic, and I know it resonated with a lot of people, and if it brought suicidal awareness to you, if it made you appreciate those who struggle with it a little bit more, then I'm glad it did what it was supposed to do. But there's just so many problems with it. I feel there's so much misrepresentation in their show, and I feel like that some of it's kind of harmful to suicide awareness. So this is a very ranty video, it's a very long video, I apologize for that, but just, if you're gonna watch it, take it with a grain of salt that it's not as realistic as people are like thinking that it is. It's not as well done as people think that it is. Obviously if it resonated with you, I'm glad that it did, but there's just a lot of problems with it, like a lot of problems, and I feel like it could have been done really, really well, and I'm a huge advocate for suicide awareness and mental health awareness and all of that stuff, obviously, but this just was, for the amount of time and budget and people behind it, I feel like it could have been done way better. But anyway, this video is already way too long, so I'm going to wrap it up here. My next video is going to be a little bit lighter. It's going to definitely not handle, be talking about something quite like this, but I just felt like I really need to say something about this show because it's been really like eating away my soul for a little bit. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys took something positive away from this, and that is there is help and there are options for you. Suicide is never the answer, no matter how bad things might get. Please talk to someone if you're feeling like there is no way out. Please find someone that you can talk to, anyone. There's tons of resources for you. There's tons of places that you can go to get help as well. Please do something proactive in that, something positive. And please be safe. Guys, please be safe and please make good choices. And please pick very good friends because those people are going to be the ones who have your back.